I'm Lauren from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a detailed look at the Carhartt Single-Compartment Backpack, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content that helps you travel smarter. Let's dive in. The outside of this bag has a few different features on it that just make carry a little bit easier, just a little bit better for storage, that sort of thing. So starting off, we have this top carry handle. You can see it sits pretty far above the pack itself. I found that it was pretty easy to just grab onto. I think for the size of the pack, it makes a lot of sense. It's also set a little bit further back. So if you were to hang this on like a bathroom stall door or something like that, it's gonna sit a lot nice and easy. You can see that when you do pick it up, it sort of starts to sag forward. So I'll do that one more time for you. And that really is when this pack is not fully packed out that you start to see a little bit of sagging. There's not a ton of structure there. So something to keep in mind if that's something that you really like. Another thing that we have on the outside here are these two large mesh water bottle pockets. You can see they're just huge, right? Like without anything in here, they're sticking out pretty far. And the elastic up top is pretty tight, but what I have here are two different bottles. So I have a 40 ounce, and then I believe this is an 18 ounce here. And you can see the difference in how they fit. So there is so much extra space over here with that hydro flask, whereas this one here really fills it out. But you're not always going to be carrying a 40 ounce water bottle, so that's something to keep in mind. I did find that this was just a little too loose, so you can see if I were to just shake this out, you get a lot of movement on both of them. But this one here has so much more room to start slipping out. So that is something to keep in mind as well. And then with the outside of here, we have the reinforced base right down at the bottom. And that's just some added durability for when you're picking this pack up, setting it down. I took this thing camping with me and I was putting it, on the ground pretty much everywhere. And it did add just a little bit of extra security down at the base. Now on the back here is a fairly simple harness system as well. So we just have two regular backpack straps, but the big thing that I found with these is that they could be pretty uncomfortable to carry. So if my shoulders were bare, if I was wearing a tank top, they felt really rough. And I think part of that is because with this mesh on the back, it's not the softest mesh in the world, but you also have a lot of thick piping right along the edges there. And so that is what would sit like against my neck or the edges of my shoulders. And I really started to feel that roughness the longer I carried it when I had my skin exposed. Another thing is you have like a little bit of curve to these shoulder straps, but it doesn't really feel like there's a rhyme or reason to it. Some backpack straps, you'll see them kind of curve out with a body type, but this one here just sort of like wiggles in the middle, which I think is interesting. On this back panel here, we have a few mesh air channels for a little bit of breathability, a little airflow. I found it pretty comfortable even in the hotter weather. And then we have some attachment loops on the bottom of the straps here. One thing to note though is that getting an adjustment is pretty difficult. So you can see just like some backpack straps, you can just pull and get it to where you need it to be. This one here, you have to really start to feed it through, which is a little bit tough to adjust on the fly. So you can see up top with these thicker straps that it's digging in a little bit to my neck and then it fits really wide on my shoulders. So that's what I was talking about when I'm wearing a tank top, how I really start to feel that fit. If you have broader chest, that might not be a big issue for you. But then additionally with the fit and how it sags a little bit low, it starts to cut into my lower back a little bit. And you can really start to pull it up if you want to, but as I mentioned, I'm yanking on these straps here and it's not making any sort of a change. So if you wanted to adjust this on the fly, it does get a little bit tough to do if you do have this on your back when you're going to be making those adjustments. In terms of external storage, other than the water bottle pockets, these two pockets are going to be where you mainly put all of your small gear. So we're going to start with this lower compartment here. We have a nice little corner zip pocket. So one thing to note is that because it is this square shape, it can be a little bit hard to get around those corners. I'm actually going to set the backpack up really quick for you so you can see. It is really close to this top compartment. So if I were to be unzipping here and everything was really weighed down and the pack was really packed out, what I found is that sometimes it was hard to like get the zipper underneath here, or at least depending on the angle that I was standing at to like reach around, got a little bit annoying to get into this bottom pocket. So the corners here are pretty easy to zip around, but they are less easy to zip around than like a full rounded pocket. So that is something to think about as well. Didn't really have a ton of issues with that though. So this pocket itself is fairly large. You can see I can like flap down this entire front pocket or front flap here. And then you sort of have this like bucket shape, which I really like because then you can load everything in and kind of set it down and then secure the top of the pocket above it. So what we have here is a few different pieces of organization. So for one, we have this key strap here, and this has a little hook on it that's nice and easy to unclip your keys, which I found to be really great because the key clip is so short that I wasn't able to swing my backpack around one side and unlock my door. So I had to take my keys off every time. But unlike a like kind of carabiner clip, I like this. It was a lot easier to get my keys off that way. So then additionally on top of that, we have this kind of like tiny little pocket here, and this guy holds a wallet, great. Kind of has like a square structure to it, which I thought was fun. Here's where I, just kind of stuck larger items that I had in here that I wanted to keep secure. And then a sort of mimicked pocket right next to it, not quite as square on those edges, but really great for a piece of wireless headphones or something like that. And then we have a couple of key loops as well. So those ones here they're not very secure. You can see they're really loose, even with, a pen in there. And so that's something where I didn't find myself using it a ton, but it is a great option if you want it. And then on the back here is a sleeve that I have a Kindle that fit really great in there for my camping trip. But that's just a quick little slip sleeve if you want like a notebook or anything in there. So moving to the top pocket here, this one is much simpler. It truly is just a dump pocket with no additional organization. So you can kind of stick whatever you want in there. They do have that same width to them, and it is also that same sort of like bucket style pocket. So what I have in here is just a sunglasses case and my phone. I did find that it was easier to put quick grab items in here just because it was at the top, and like I mentioned, getting that zipper around the bottom one could be a little bit annoying at times. So anything that I really wanted quick access to frequently, like a pair of sunglasses or my phone, that had a really great spot in that top pocket there. Now getting into the main compartment. So my favorite thing about this pack, I would say, is how easy it is to pack. So it sort of opens like a little bucket. And what we have is this zipper closer towards the front of, or it opens closer to the front of the pack. And so it makes it easy to just sort of like flip that lid open and just start to pack everything inside. So there's kind of love and hate with that. So what I liked about it is when I went on my trip, I was able to really slot everything in here, keep it really organized, and then I could, zip it all up and I was ready to go. What was a little more annoying was getting to the back compartment here with the back sleeve here with the laptop. So I'm gonna take a couple of things out here. Just got a couple packing cubes and a extra layer. And so what we have here is this back laptop sleeve compartment. So it opens up with a little Velcro elastic, and then you get to the actual laptop here. This can fit, the website for Carhartt says a 15-inch, but we did put a 16-inch in here, and it does fit. It's a little bit snug, but it fits in there comfortably. But the one thing to keep in mind is that because of the zipper being all the way towards the front, you have so much extra material here that you have to get around when you want to take your laptop out. So, say I have it open like this and I want to pull it out and I'm at my desk or, wherever I am, coffee shop, doing a little work done, you kind of have to move around all that material in order to get that device out of there. And so that was a little bit of a nuisance, especially because this is a compartment that I access pretty frequently. However, in terms of packability with the rest of the pack, I did like, having that extra space. So like I mentioned, that little elastic Velcro there. And then this front compartment here is a tablet sleeve. Feels pretty flimsy, so this back laptop sleeve has some padding in it. You can see a little bit of that thickness there, and then there's some padding from the back, and there's a little bit of a false bottom down at the bottom. But I don't really like this laptop sleeve. It kind of feels like an afterthought. It's just like a little flimsy piece of material. It's kind of crunchy. And when I would be loading everything in here, it just kind of felt like it was getting in the way. So didn't really love it, but if you do have an additional device, that's a great place to put it. And because that Velcro does secure on the outside, it holds both of them in place once you get everything in there. So that is nice as well. And then what we have here is essentially just an empty bucket. So you can see just a big base there. And this is 27 liters of space to work with. So that extra, bucket packability, you can see like I'm pulling that so wide open. And I found that when I really wanted to load this thing out, it was really nice because I was able to get so much gear in there. However, like I showed you earlier, when it's a little bit less packed at the front here, or there's not a ton of gear in here, if you're not making use of that full 27 liters, then you are going to see a little bit of sagging, and it's not quite as good of a look, in my opinion. And then we've got a few like loose threading around here, which is kind of disappointing from a brand that, prides themselves on durability, and having a pretty durable pack here in itself. I mean, the materials feel really sturdy. Then, seeing a few loose threading on the inside of the main compartment there isn't a super great look. So there you have it, the Carhartt Single-Compartment Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.